Well, hello everyone. Back for another episode of MMM. Happy Monday, all. Hope you all having a great day. So yeah, we are back for another episode to talk about a movie, and this was, I think, a movie. Um, yeah, this is a Vex pick. So, if in case you haven't noticed, Zax and Vex are not on the panel. They're both from Canada, living there still, and very sick with the Canadian AIDS. I don't know what's going on in that country, but everybody's sick. But yeah, they're not doing well, so let's give them all warm wishes and prayers for them. Make sure they're going to be okay. They're not dying or anything, but they have been sick for at least a week now. Both of them, I think.
She has been for just, I think, about at least I only remember her saying it about 3 days ago.
3 days, yeah. I know. Zach's last week was starting to get sick, so let's hope he recovers so I can touch him in Vegas. Anyway, yeah. So Vex's pick was the 2000 movie, Johnny Depp movie, The Ninth Gate. And I'm not gonna lie, I never saw this before until this past weekend. Was kind of looking forward to it. I said, the reviews aren't fantastic, but whatever. What do critics know? Yeah. So we'll get into what I think later. But we do have a guest who's always welcome on the show and is fantastic, Mr. Blaine from Criticless, who has got an awesome website. If you haven't checked it, you're welcome, dude. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Staying busy. Just was able to give you guys a shout out on the Monday Hangover, which I just left. So
beautiful, man. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll catch some strays from that group. So yeah, we just got done talking about one of my all-time favorite movies, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah,
classic,
fantastic, absolute. Movie. 80s masterpiece. So yeah, but yeah, I've just been doing my thing.
Might be the second best Carpenter movie after The Thing. It really might be.
I'm right there with you. That and because and God, he's got a lot of movies that I love, but that one's right up there. I think it's my favorite. Yeah. It might not be his best, but I think it is my favorite.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, well, thank you for being here and for the shout out. We always appreciate having you on, of course. Check out, obviously, his information is in this description, the website, the YouTube channel. Please check it out. It's amazing what he's done for the critic space, which, if you want to call it, we're not even people. It's just everyday people writing reviews on the website. It's exploding. So definitely, it's been an amazing run, and it's definitely worth your time to go onto the website, check it out. Even if you don't want to post, just to read the reviews.
Right.
Absolutely.
Unbiased stuff. It's fantastic. So
we have a lot of lurkers, so don't be afraid to be a lurker. And that's that's how a lot of people start. They lurk for a while, and then something will eventually piss them off, and they'll be like, "Oh, fuck this guy! I'm writing a review."
Honestly, there's plenty of bias on Criticless, but it's people telling you exactly what they think. It's not dishonest. That's the good thing.
Yeah, you don't feel
everyone's biased. But
you don't have to feel like if I'm not a good writer, I can't write a review. It's not like that. Everybody writes reviews on there. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So you can give us one sentence is all you got to do. Not even.
It's better.
Right. You just if it's a low review and it doesn't have text, you will be accused of launching a low effort shit missile. So
yes.
Oh god, that's awesome.
I have a hard time even liking wordless reviews when I agree with them.
I know. Yeah.
We got my beautiful co-host White Bear. Are you Vex tonight? Is that where you're?
You trying to get off and trying to get back on, it didn't.
Thank you. Customer
such
service.
A great movie. Yeah. Hey, yeah. So yeah. You'll notice my excitement throughout this review and all that. And that'll let you kind of know where we're at. But till then, I'm just gonna stick with this face, and that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do for this one. So yeah, let's go ahead with this.
Let's move it along. Gore King.
Hello.
Yeah. So we had a lot of discussion in our chat over the weekend about this movie, especially you and I. I think I even messaged you separately just to not hurt anybody's feelings in our chat who actually liked the movie Vex. And I was like, I think the first thing I said 30 minutes into the movie, I texted you on a Thursday night. I go, what is this movie? Like, what am I watching and what is it? But we'll get into that, of course. But I know this is your first. You actually watched it twice in the last week.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time Thursday. Thankfully, Vudu had it on their free with ads section. So that was very helpful. Thank you, Vudu. yeah, I watched it Thursday. I, like you, was actually kind of excited to see this. I thought, based on the concept, I thought it was really interesting. First time watching it on Thursday, I was like, I'm not particularly high on this.
Right.
When you have a friend who loves the movie, particularly one who is smart and has an opinion you do value.
I used to. No,
and when you have a personal philosophy like I do, that sometimes a second watch does help. I decided Sunday to rewatch this. I was like, all right, now that I have some familiarity with it, let's see how well it molds together. It's definitely going to maintain some issues regardless, but let's see how well it actually is put together. And that second watch did this movie no favors. In fact, my score dropped significantly from a not particularly high point. I think this is a kind of like Signs in a Quiet Place. This is a really good concept trapped in a really bad movie.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then. So we'll scrub through.
I will say really quick also.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going full Vex, but this was a high school favorite of mine. Now I have probably not seen this movie in 20 years. So it's been a very long time. But I was a fan back in the day. This is the first time that I've seen it forever. So my opinion has changed some. But I'm not where you guys are, but I don't think I'm where Vex is either. So.
Well, we'll scrub through and we'll talk about it. And then since there's only four of us, we'll have plenty of time to get
now I'll say this. John Douglas does point out a good thing. The part where Johnny Depp comes in and says it's Depp time and Depp's all over the place. That is a great
100%. Yeah, so the whole introduction is supposed to be very mysterious. And they do pan the books, which given what Johnny Depp does and what the movie's about, makes sense. But so I'm like, okay, so there's some mystery. I don't know what he's got this paper in his hand, and you don't know what and then you see him walk over. Basically, he hangs himself. And then
Whitey, Depp
throat, not deep throat, Depp throat. So he hangs himself, and the chandelier breaks above him, and then you just kind of like, okay, so what's going on here?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. This was one of the scenes that so once you learn why this happened, and then you get to watch it again, you're like, oh, so this really isn't all that big a deal, to be honest with you. It's not even one of my biggest beefs with this is the fact that the whole thing surrounding this book, which is supposed to be capable of summoning the devil, is there really doesn't seem to be a big spiritual component to this film. At least certainly not until the very, very end. But you would think that, okay, this is maybe this guy has succumbed to, in a more realistic sense, more literal sense, succumbed to his demons and is under some kind of spiritual oppression. You think it's for some deep, dark reason like that. It's just like, no, it's really, this scene actually is kind of crushed under the weight of a rewatch. It's like, oh, this really wasn't even that big a deal. It's kind of convenient in a way too, because when you learn that this basically enabled the guy to get his hands on the book and how central that is to the plot, you're just like, oh, he was. I guess this guy was just waiting for him to kill himself. Good thing he did, I suppose.
Yeah, good timing, buddy. Good timing. Here, let's skip through this. Yeah, this is where we get to see Johnny Depp.
Gate 9 from outer space.
Yeah, so he's doing his thing. What was his title? Like, did he have an official title in the movie for what he?
He's basically into book authentication, and he can appraise, he can investigate. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like. There's a couple of just character choices in general I think should have been different. For one thing, this scene makes it very explicit that he's pretty dirty. He basically he oversells most of his collection and undersells the most valuable piece of it. Which, if you know even the slightest bit about book authentication, you know that okay, so he's destroying his reputation right here, which apparently he does all the time. And I'm like, well, then how does he get jobs?
Right.
This was White Bear after watching this movie right here.
Unbearably painful.
Age 50 years, and he's like, oh, I'm drooling.
And there's unbearably painful.
Yeah, his family behind him, like, I don't know what happened. He was just a 2-hour movie.
I think what gets sacrificed here, what could have made this, just one simple character choice could have made this significantly more compelling as a mystery and as just an overall story, is making his character, kind of morally compromised right from the outset, I think is a really bad choice personally, because like if he's not a compromised person and you see him compromise over the course of film, like a character arc,
Right.
that makes what's happening around him much more interesting, almost just inherently.
Nope.
But he's
Right.
he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy right from the outset.
The interesting thing is he starts out compromised, but then as the film goes on, he becomes less like that and becomes highly dedicated to it. So it's like he almost it's almost in reverse of what you would expect, or like he doesn't really lean into being sketchy. Like he's pretty reliable after this, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's just kind of, I guess, like his task is sketchy in itself, but he's not really responsible for like any of the sketchy stuff that's going on.
Right.
Look at this guy. Fucking
Also, who in their right mind is told that their like Don Quixote book isn't worth anything, and then it's just like, oh yeah, it's not worth anything. That makes sense.
I'll take this off your hands. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's him not wanting to buy it, not the least bit suspicious. And I'm like, these kids know that they're dead, and these are older. These aren't young kids. These are kids. Hold on to this guy. I have something to say about him, but you can't convince me that these two did not hear all the time from their dad how valuable the Don Quixote books was, or why you would not have those locked up. I was like, it's Don Quixote. It's one of the most, after the Bible, I'm pretty sure it's the best-selling book of all time. Him having this edition, of course their dad would have told him this stuff probably for as long as he's had it. But and for it being as valuable as it is, it's like, why isn't it locked up? You know?
Well,
but this guy comes along and it's like, why is this not a comedy? Unscrupulous, thoroughly unscrupulous.
He was out of a totally different movie. I don't even know what was happening with this guy.
He's out of like a Pink Panther movie. It was so weird.
There's a lot of wacky tone stuff happening, and it happens right from the jump. And this movie's kind of all over the place with the tone, where you will, whether it is like we were talking about before the show with the score and like some of the things happening with the music, like you're just like, this is really kind of almost goofy. And scenes like this, and it just kind of happens, and I kind of leaned into it as it went along. I was just like, I guess that's just what this is. Like, this movie kind of doesn't take itself seriously while also doing so at the same time. It rides this really weird line throughout the whole film.
Well, see, to me, the problem is that it's not really even it's not at the same time. It's one moment it is, one moment it isn't. And it's like, it's very all over the place. And I'm just like, you kind of need to make up your mind here, because I'm feeling nothing.
It's almost like there was like really weird editing, and it was like having to be shot between France and made up on a set. I don't know.
Didn't Vex say like because Polanski was making this, he was in a lot of trouble at this time, that he had there was a lot of production issues because he had to kept leaving and coming back.
Yeah, you'll see fake cityscape later through the windows just because they had
so bad.
Yeah,
there's a couple bad ones.
I forgot this guy's name in the movie. His buddy who owns the bookstore where he
Crumbus. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeff.
Named Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeb.
Yeah.
It's Bernie. It's a fellow named James Russo. That's the actor.
I know the act. I didn't know. Yeah, I'm never gonna remember his name.
He's actually in some decent movies. Like he's in Django Unchained and Open Range. He's not a bad actor.
Yeah, no. Don Quixote. Yeah, so he basically knows Johnny Depp. They're friends, so he basically says, "Yeah, you're just basically a liar, but you're good at what you do." So
Yeah, and this is kind of another thing where I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I would have liked it if they were legitimately friends. Like, I don't mind like the banter. It's just once you see what happens to him, you're like, oh, this really isn't really a friendship. They just they work together, and I'm like, oh, okay. Right. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, this is where he goes to see Balkan, who eventually hires him. But like this, he goes to see Balkan, and here we go with this. This woman, like once she's, I think I texted in our chat or what I was watching this last week when I forgot what part it was. I think it was the part when they're on the train later and she starts talking to him. I hate this. I was like, I never wanted to throw a woman off a fucking train more.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, it's like my reaction is purely based on everything else about her character. This scene is just kind of showing you she's there. Vex did point out something that I thought was legitimately funny, that this guy is giving a lecture about witches and it's almost all women in the class.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. And he's talking about like witchcraft and all this, and then Johnny Depp falls asleep, and then Vulcan goes up to him and kind of wakes him up and says, "Hey, I got a job for you." And this guy's hairpiece. Oh my god, dude! Like I just
this guy's a legitimately.
He's a good actor.
He gives his performance for most of the movie. I mean, great. This is most of his performance right here, and he's pretty solid. And at this point in the movie, it's not till later that it gets a little. But he's compelling. He's actually very compelling. It's like this scene. If you want to point to a scene that's a good kind of kickoff to the movie, it's here. This was where I was kind of like, okay, we've got something.
Hopefully, we're going somewhere with this. Yeah.
But it's like it's a cool set with all these cool books, and
he's just telling him about his private collection, and he's like, I love this stuff. It's a passion. I have stuff that you'll never find anywhere else. And you're like, okay, so like you're wondering where this is going to go. And he's like, yeah, come over here and I'll tell you basically what I need you for. And White Bear is right, though. The first thing I said is like how cheap and like high school play, like a stage play, the backgrounds were. And I was like, I understand there's budget issues in movies, but like it looks so bad. It's like it's distracting. I don't know if that's just me, if you guys noticed that, but this background scene, even here, I'm like, this looks terrible.
Yeah, I did like the only line I guess in this scene that kind of made me think they're being a little on the nose with the demon is like, oh, it was like in 1666. I was like, okay, we get it. We get it, all right.
It's evil.
It's like dun dun dun. I was just kind of expecting that to key in.
What was the name of the book again?
I think it's just called the Nine Gates.
Nine Gates.
Yeah, and they talk about how this guy Aristide, I can't even Torquia.
About Bill, Melinda, and their children.
Yeah, like he supposedly co-wrote this book with the Depp. Well, no, they don't even mention the co-writing thing, do they?
Well, no, they bring up the whole devil thing. Yeah.
Later, okay. I wasn't sure if he did it here. I didn't remember
his initials in there.
Now, I will say this: the one thing from the outset that was confusing me. It's like, okay, there's only 3 known copies, and I'm like, okay, that are authentic, and I'm like, shouldn't this what is the authentication of these 3 copies based on? What's the fourth? What's the canon version that you're basing its authenticity on? It's like which. Like, wouldn't you have to know that to know these are authentic? I thought that was like, and he even talks about like, based on my research, and I'm like, your research of what? Actually, what are you looking into?
Actually, funny you brought that up.
Granted, we kind of know later the answer to this question is
yeah.
But again, it's like once you know the answer, you're like, oh, well, but these are still questions. Johnny Depp doesn't know the answer, so these are questions he should have.
Admiral brings up a good point here. The first comparison I made, because this came out 2 years after The Devil's Advocate. That's and I'm true. Like, The Devil's Advocate, well, listen, that movie had a ton of issues itself, but it does a better job with the whole devil, like meeting the devil and the whole thing. Like, because, it's the same thing, basically. Keanu Reeves has these demons following him and kind of determining his course in the movie. And I'm like, God, The Devil's Advocate did so much better.
The Devil's Advocate knows exactly what it is.
Yes.
Pretty much from the outset. Yeah. It's not totally inconsistent. It knows what it's doing. Its story. I mean, granted, it's still got issues.
Oh, yeah.
But that movie is well aware of what it is.
And you got Al Pacino giving the best 20-minute ending of like a movie. The last 20 minutes of that movie are so good because of him. Sorry, Whitey, what were you going to say?
No, I was just thinking like, I guess like they only got 3 copies, from like Penguin Random House is the only publishers left for it, and then he's like, "Yes, please handle this book with no gloves and smoke cigarettes around it." But okay,
yeah. That's true. Yeah, so this is where he basically sets up like this book was written supposedly by the devil himself, and there's these copies of these other countries. I'll basically Vulcan's like, I'll spare no expense. I need these books.
Well, he's really all he's saying. He goes, he's wanting to confirm. Well, according to him, obviously, we find out the motives later, or not what he's saying. He's wanting to see if he's right that only one of these is authentic. Again, don't know what the prime version of is that they're testing against, but okay. And but if they're not, if they're different, he wants him to get his hands on them any way he can. But I was like, okay, it's. I mean, like I said, even on first watch, I was like, that's a some of this seems kind of flimsy. I mean, again, we know his motives are different by the movie's end, but at the same time, I'm like, these are questions Depp's character should be asking too.
No. Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't want to do. I do stuff that's illegal, but not that illegal. Like he's trying to, it's like okay. Wait till
because it basically came out that he killed somebody at that point, like the guy that he got or at least led to the death of. It sounded like, because it was like, oh, it just happened to be the day before I bought the book or whatever. And it really
they actually tell you later. One of the I think it's the two twins say or it might be one of the other characters. Oh, it might actually be the old woman. She says if he ever found out what she was doing with this, he'd kill himself.
He'd kill himself, yeah.
And then he's like, funny you should say that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, really? Is that this movie's justification for him killing himself?
Right.
Really?
Well, that's what it was. Now that you say that, the whole thing was, I guess, is literally that the reason that he sold it was because he found out what she was doing, and then he followed up and killed himself. So that's why it was a day apart. So, yeah. That I guess does track. It's kind of wild, but
I will give the movie this. I mean, for an somewhat older Lena Olin is pretty freaking hot. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
And she's in about her mid 40s when this came out.
Still
I'm like,
good. Still looking.
She's a good looking woman.
Hey. Yeah, this is the wife of the husband who hung himself at the very beginning, and he's trying to just ask questions about the book, and then obviously you find out. Well, she plays a bigger role later, which I
found it genuinely baffling that she did not know the book was missing.
Right,
I really found that odd,
especially by the end when you find out what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like what?
Well, if you put the elements together, he killed. I mean, the movie is suggesting he killed himself because he found out what she was doing. Would she not be aware of? It's like when he killed himself, she either would have to be either aware before he did it or probably aware once he did do it. And the first thought is, I need to make sure I get my hands on this book.
Right.
So either she would make sure to keep that thing under protection before then, or she would already be well aware that it's been taken, and there would probably be some sign around the house or something that she knew about it. That's like, oh crap, this thing's missing. I've got to find this. So I was like, that's a little odd.
Yeah, she just kind of plays it off here, like whatever. Like my husband killed himself. Like he loved that book. I don't know why he would have got rid of it, but
it is weird though that I'm realizing now she seems to pop up in movies where something happens with her character that makes no sense. Because as much as I love the movie Mystery Men, she's in that, and she kind of just disappears in that movie all of a sudden and never comes back. So we literally never know what happened to her, and she's literally like the girlfriend of the main bad guy. You never find out what happens.
Never
to her.
know what's going on. No.
It's probably the biggest flaw in that movie that she just disappears randomly. It's like, oh, okay.
Also,
I'm like, did y'all accidentally delete that scene?
All the books in this movie are reused from every scene. You notice that because the binding of every single book is like, guys, come on, there's got to be more books out there. Right?
And I do think the cop. And now, granted, you could kind of forgive the fact that the book looks way too pristine for being hundreds of years old on the fact that there's a supernatural component to it. So I can forgive that. I guess I could say I'm more or less fine with that because it's like, yeah, it's probably that. But there's kind of a lot of books in this that look a little too pristine for their age. But this one in particular, I'm like, I guess that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so he's doing his research and then he sees the blonde girl again. And she's like, so you go ahead, buddy.
My interesting, the thing that I found interesting here too is that the only differences in these books were the pictures. And that's what it focused on. And you have this massive book with all these words, and he's doing all this research, but all he's doing is looking at like 6 picture pages. And that to me was what stood out the most. I'm just like, that is such a, obviously that is the plot, is that like these pictures are what's different. But, and I guess that explains why nobody caught the differences. But it just did seem odd that you're like, it's,
which is weird because
the devil and stuff.
Yeah, one of the weirdest things about this movie to me is the fact that the differences that he finds in these pictures are the kind of differences you'd spot in a highlights magazine.
Right.
I mean, especially, I mean, we'll get to it when it comes to it, but the fact that the woman doesn't notice one building has 4 pillars, the other 3, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And granted, it's not necessarily her fault because this would be the first time she's seeing both. It's the fact that the movie is suggesting that nobody ever caught that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, right.
This is Highlights magazine stuff that this is in the kids.
Right.
You don't know what a Highlights magazine is, chat?
I remember.
It's a little kids magazine they put in the waiting room at hospitals where kids can literally look at two of the same picture and find the differences. And if you're an adult, you're like, yeah, these are really obvious. I'm like, it's that level of differences.
You can't be blamed too much. The pop-out version got destroyed a long time ago.
Yeah, I like how he comes home and his house is destroyed, his apartment's destroyed. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" Like, they're obviously somebody's
and
looking
honestly,
for the book.
His apartment even would kind of looks almost evident of a person that isn't particularly compromising because he's clearly not well off.
No,
I mean, so it's like if he's constantly screwing people over and selling this expensive stuff, you'd think he'd live a little bit better than he does. So I almost feel like the setting he's in, it's like would kind of suggest, he wouldn't be such a bad guy. It would just be so much more interesting if you gave him an actual arc than him just, he's just. Oh yeah, he's morally compromised and he's doing something morally compromised. Okay,
so he takes the book to his buddy. Go ahead, Blaine. Sorry, go.
The comment that you just brought up about them being in the same room together. That's what I kind of kept coming back to too. Was I was like, I guess there'd be no reason for them to ever be in the same room. And we do have a tendency to think in a very like current mindset of like just things being able to be shared easily on the internet and everything else. And
what I was alluding to, Bush, it's I'm not blaming the old woman for not having seen them, but they would have to have been. At the same, for these 3 books to be authenticated, it's like you have to have it based on something. So it's like these are the kind of differences that an authenticator would look for. So not noticing when you're looking at 2 pictures side by side and meticulously looking at them. I mean, shoot, if you watch Pawn Stars, they find more tiny differences than that. It's these are really obvious discrepancies. Yeah, but it's because it's the fact that these books have already been authenticating that is a problem. Those discrepancies are so overt and obvious that it's hard to believe that all 3 of them would be considered, considered the correct version. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and then this is where the widowed wife comes in, and as soon as she walked, so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, why is she showing up out of nowhere all of a sudden? Unless the book had more meaning, she lied to him, right? And as soon as I see the black, it's every movie trope, right? I see that's done this, like I see the black coat, a scarf, and you can see her like her breast. I was like, oh, she's gonna seduce him somehow. Like you just know what's coming.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously that's can I have a drink? The black cigarette and like she hikes up her pants at one point. She's not wearing much under her jacket. And she's like, "Oh yeah,
it's a clear, it's a cleir attempt at seduction." So
100%, 100%. But you see, like, and then this is like, so they have the drink, right? She smokes. They do their thing, and it's so funny though, because like when they're done, they're laying on the floor and like. She says something about like, oh yeah, she has the snake symbol on her tattoo.
I found it immensely funny that the tattoo is on one of her butt cheeks. I'm like, is that where all of the cult members put it?
Right.
That I saw that and I was like, this is a cult tattoo and it's on
their
butt.
ass.
I mean, they're an orgy cult. I mean,
that is true.
I'm not saying it's like a flaw. I found it funny. I was like, that's kind of funny.
Oh yeah. Were you talking about the line here that is fantastic, where she's like, "Are you about to fuck me over?" And he's like, I
already did. And like the way she grabs his hair and goes crazy out of nowhere. It was just like so out of place. Like
honestly, though, this is where I started to, especially the second time through, this is where I kind of started to notice how bad his performance is. Oh, because he's being seduced by this hot chick, and he's just kind of like, whatever.
Right. Oh man,
it's just very matter of fact.
I love his performance in this. It's so Johnny Depp. I don't know. It's just
he's just been assaulted, and I'm like, you're not gonna like call the police or nothing. Okay, all right, sure, okay.
Leaves a message on his book, his book buddies, telling him like,
it seems like he's used to dealing with unsavory characters, though. So maybe,
at least she didn't shit in my bed.
Yeah. So he goes into the
the problem is, it's like this scene. It's like if this were the only kind of instance where you could get the police involved, it's one thing. It escalates pretty considerably here pretty soon, and I'm like, here. So I'm like, really, you're not going to call the police now? Your buddy just got murdered.
No, he wants
Come
the
on.
book. I like how he sneaks past them to get the book, and then this is one of the one of the ways somebody in the book was portrayed, right? Like each person has a
I'm like, you're
Right.
not worried about leaving prints or anything in the vicinity.
Nope.
I mean, he seems
never
just
worked.
very matter of fact about this, and I'm like, this guy died. You should be mortified right now. Like, what have I gotten myself into? And he's just kind of like, go home, you know.
He doesn't care. He just saunters through everything like he's freaking drunk Jack Sparrow. Just like, oh, some shit just happened. Like one thing to another. Does not care.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. And then these scenes with the the green screen. Like, I could forgive movies in this time period.
It's not awful in this particular
it's not bad, but it's noticeable, but it's not bad.
Yeah, anytime you have a window between the character and the backdrop, it's like it can still look bad, but you might have a harder time noticing because when you're enclosed in a car, you tend to pay attention to what's in the car. It's really not until you're on the motorcycle that it's really bad.
The motorcycle is where it's the kicker.
This is him yelling at the director, "Stop! I don't want to make this movie anymore."
Boosh, by the way, him calling the cops would not interfere with him getting money. If anything, it would get the other people off of his back. Yep. Him calling the cops would not affect his job. You
see, and then him talking to Balkan here, and you notice like the light in the booth goes in and out a couple of times when he's talking about, because you figure it's like they're trying to do this creepy kind of like it's like because of what what this book is, who he's working for, they're trying to do this creepy like, oh, the light's going in and out, and he's talking about the devil and this is evil, and it's like it doesn't mean anything though, because it's up until this point I'm going, I don't care. Like, and this, like you said, Gord, where the tone of the movie is so weird. And I think even Blaine said, like, it's trying to be funny. It's not trying to be funny. It's trying to, like, the score is trying to be like this uplifting kind of like goofy score. And then this scene happens. You're like, am I supposed to be like, feel like, oh, something bad's happening here? This is scary because I'm like, no, I don't care. Like, I don't know, man. At like 37 minutes in, I was like, I hope this movie gets better. But I'm like, I don't have any hope at this point because nothing's happening. I mean, there's a plot happening, but not much is good. It's just stupid. But
yeah, and he just puts up so little resistance anytime he's wanting any kind of answers or any kind of assurance. It's just like, I'm not sure about doing this. He's like, I'm disappointed. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I like the guy.
I mean, granted, in this, they at least put a little bit of a carrot on it, but you don't even see him react to it. It's like, I'll put an extra 0 on your fee. And I'm like, okay, it's like, show a little bit of a, like, internally, like, okay, that's actually kind of big. It's like, act a bit. For crying out loud, act a bit.
Well, I love the part.
Fairly right. This is his performance right here. It's this image.
But I do love like how that Balkan, every time he says somebody's been murdered, he's like, "Oh, that's just awful." Like the sarcastic way. He's like, "Oh, that's terrible." It's so funny.
Yeah, it almost, it's one of those things where I think you are gonna love or hate with the tone and all of it. It is just the whole thing is nonchalant. Like the movie just kind of slowly saunters through everything that's happening, and so does Johnny Depp. And you're either going to be okay with him like just not giving a shit from the time that it starts, and like it doesn't matter how ridiculous a moment is, like he will react in the moment and then he's over it and it's instant. And it's just the whole thing's like that. But there's something about that I kind of like. And I don't know if I would have liked it if it hadn't had such a weird tone. Like if it had played itself so seriously, it'd just be like, what is the deal? But I think because it is almost played with this level of humor that's like intertwined, it kind of works a little bit. I think that's maybe why people are more okay with it.
These brothers were freaking funny.
Yeah.
Oh God, dude. I'm like, yeah, these are the people who owned the book initially, right?
They're the ones who sold it to the guy who hanged himself, who sold it to Balkan.
Yeah. I like the camera because they're supposed to be twin brothers in this.
Are they actually twins, or is this the same actor? Because the way they're filmed right now makes it look like these are two separate shots.
I think it's the same actor.
You could tell. Yeah, you could tell. Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I don't think they necessarily did it poorly. It's just when you still the frame, it's very obvious.
100%. Yeah, this is where they're talking. Like he's just doing his investigation thing here and asking if it's a forgery. And he's like, I hope not. And they're like, I hope not. And all the. I don't know if this was supposed to be like comic relief. It just played off a little strange. Like I don't know how you felt too. Whoever wants to comment, a lot of these scenes when he's talking to these people about this book seem extremely drawn out too.
Yeah.
Like
and they're drawn out. It's the problem isn't that they're drawn out. They're drawn out and you don't get a lot from. There's very little information that comes from. That's why I think this movie has serious pacing problems. Is because this is such a fascinating subject, both authentication.
Right.
Like some of my favorite parts of like watching Pawn Stars is when they bring that chick on who does book authentication. Yes, also she's good looking, but she's also really good at her job and she's interesting to listen to. I like listening to like historical significance, and you can bring in a lot of really you can do a lot of cool technical dialogue. There's movies that do technical dialogue really well, and this just gives you very, very little. I thought the LCF thing was really corny.
Oh my god, who's LCF? And they look at each other like, should we tell you?
Wink, wink.
Yeah, he wrote the book.
Like, you may know him by his AOL username, LCF666.
Even hell has heroes, and he's like Lucifer. And then when he's walking by this thing, it collapses. Like,
which was really weird. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
Why is this happening? It's like because why would demonic forces surely don't want to stop him from doing what he's doing?
Right.
Yeah, for that reason it is odd, but I think because this was our first real tease at something supernatural happening, that like I think that they were trying to give us the vibe that the book was cursed, and that like he's kind of just he's starting to become aware that having the book in his presence is a bad thing. Yeah. And I think
the unfortunate thing, it's kind of the only, as far as on a supernatural level, it's the only allusion to it until the very, very end. And again, I'm just like, can we have, like, even though I was confused when I first saw that, I kind of was thinking, okay, but they're giving you maybe a bit of a tidbit of their supernatural forces. You could even maybe say, well, this was a good force trying to stop him or something. It's like, no, there's really nothing else
on that front.
I think that was probably, for me, watching it another time after being so long, it is that they should have cranked up the supernatural elements more, because we're not there yet, but it only happens with the lady, but it's like at going forward, and I think that was the biggest mistake. Is they could have done it fairly easy without making the budget go too crazy to just keep making supernatural things happen as this went along.
Yeah, you could do like sounds in the dark, or like when he's alone and stuff. There's a lot of stuff you do.
Right.
It's not difficult. And here he runs into this woman, same train, foreign country, and I'm like, okay, you're being followed 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, great. Right. He more or less alludes to it, but his reaction is just so nonchalant. And also, I hate this woman so much. This character, he is one of the worst characters in a mainstream movie I've ever seen. She is the cagiest individual, and it is so preposterously frustrating.
You see this look here? You know how much money
I hate this character so much.
Right. That's what his look is there.
And he's so nonchalant. I don't think he ever once asks her name. And
he asks once here. He's like, when she's like, "What would you like to be?" He's like, "Green." And I'm like, "Wow, you're just gonna go along with that, really?"
Yeah. Right. while you're being, and then her eyes flash green. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. She's followed him into a library. Where else? A library in New York, all the way to a train in Europe. But he's just like, we're good. Don't worry about it.
And this flash of her eyes going bright green, I'm like, you just saw something overtly supernatural.
Didn't care.
No, that doesn't. Nothing. Nothing.
Nope.
Freaking nothing. I'm like, really? Nothing? You're not going to react to that even a little bit? Come on.
Oh god,
Give
yeah.
Oh
yeah, so this is where he goes to find the book, the first book. Yeah, the second copy, sorry.
Yeah.
And then this guy's like, yeah, this guy lives in this like almost abandoned mansion, and he's playing the violin concert. And I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening here. But I guess he's just an eccentric dude, and he shows him his. So what happened? Did they explain what happened to this guy's house in the book collection? Did he mention anything here?
They didn't really.
They really didn't think because he kept saying like, "This is all I have left of the collection." So I'm assuming something happened to the.
I was kind of wondering if maybe it was one of these things where it was somebody that has an estate that's like kept it. You know how you hear about British estates that kind of start to just go into disrepair and whatever. That's the vibe I got.
Okay, yeah. So he's
like, this guy seemed like relatively harmless. Like, really was just kind of a book collector who, granted, you could tell he's more or less a believer. I don't like. He's one of the few that you're like. Don't necessarily think he's a Satanist like some of the other characters are, or necessarily has a fascination specifically with the devil. Granted, I might be forgetting some of the dialogue, but he at least seemed to have a healthy fear of the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just there. He gives them a little bit of info, and he's like, "Yeah, you can check this. Yeah, no problem. That's fine."
Yeah, he's giving him some of the book. He says he takes care of the books each day, and then and then he there's the book. So he's like, "Yeah, I want to stay for a while and examine these books to see if there's anything different and if it's So it's fucking God. That's what I mean. Like, look at these scenes. Just it's like you said, like they just dragged on, but with no payoff really. It's like these. Yeah. He's with these. The one with the woman at the end in the wheelchair. I was like, is it ever going to end? He's like 15 minutes talking to that woman, and I'm like, oh my God, shut up. but
it's almost if they had nestled in like those supernatural moments that we were talking about when he encounters these books and stuff. I think it would have added a level of excitement to this movie that it really needed.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Of course, his book has discoloration. It's racism.
But you got the mulatto copy.
Yeah. And it's like the same 3 pages in the books, right? Each book that has a different picture, and these. I
think it's like each book, like something like 3 pictures differ from one another. Like this one, like the explicit one they show is like the guy's got the different keys in the hands, and I'm like, okay. Again, it should have been very easy to cut. Like even that scene, it's like if it had just been something as simple as maybe he has an extra key, like that's kind of tucked behind the other 2. It's maybe that kind of a slight difference. I think the differences again are a little bit too overt. And I know I'm harping on that point. It's really just the pillars one that really bothered me. It kind of just drove home. It kind of just drove home the silliness a little too hard. But
who do you think was knocking on the door here? Because they didn't tell you who knocked on the door. Because they try to make it like this mysterious thing. Because he just
we know that it's
was it her? Was it
later on? No, we later on know that the guy who killed him is the one who hired.
Right. Okay.
Well, because the weird thing is like Lena Olin's character, all she wants is to get her copy back. That's all she's in this for.
Yeah,
is to get her copy back. They just want to have their weird little Hollywood sex cult. That's it.
Right. Well, and the weird thing is, why destroy the other copies? Like, if you're going, just steal them. No, like
and that's this, and this is what Sassy caught backstage, and we'll get to it later. Blaine didn't hear it, so I won't spoil it yet. But because I asked that at first, I was like, why did he burn the book? He said because he says later, Johnny Depp's character says the pictures were torn out and the book itself was otherwise destroyed. We find out later why, and we'll get to why that's a huge problem in this movie later.
Good point, Bush. Good point. It's so funny. This part here too, like the way this guy's supposed to be intimidating. I was laughing. I was like, the way they played this out. He gets out of the car and he's just standing. I'm like, is this supposed to be scary? Like to Blaine's point, like because like there has been no real anticipation, like supernatural. So like none of this is like creepy or scary. It's just like this guy's an idiot with his blonde hair.
And Depp looks relatively nonplussed.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, there's a car.
Like he's a little like obviously he jumps out of the way and there's that little bit of adrenaline, but otherwise he's just like that just happened. Okay.
Then there's the chick chasing him, getting on the bike and taking off, and it's like okay, and then they just like hold on a second. Let me get past this. Sorry.
He's just comically.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, is this a nudity?
No, it's commercial break.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's like there's not nudity till like the end.
It's the only ad break in the whole on Amazon. But anyway, like until we get past, so like that whole thing leading up to it. So like, what are we like 45 minutes into 50 minutes into the movie already? And I'm just like, at this point, going like, how could this get better? And I'm like, it's not, is it? I kept checking my
I kind of kept waiting for there to be again like some supernatural thing to start creeping up, some kind of like for greater mysteries to start really unfolding, and it's just like, okay, you found these slight differences in the picture. It's like, okay, can he maybe extrapolate on something like, ooh, this is a big discovery? Because like the weird thing is like when he takes this knowledge to like say the Baroness, she sees that as a big deal, and I'm like, shouldn't he see it as a big deal?
Yeah,
like wow, there's a difference here. He was right. Just no excitement, nothing. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's very strange. And like you said, Gore, like him, all these things are happening to him, and he's just so matter of fact about it. Just like, oh, okay. So he's like, jumping into like he's almost getting killed. He's seeing people's eyes light up. Oh yeah.
He's the demolition man.
Demolition man. My bear.
Are you scared now? There you go.
Oh, Wesley Snipes could have made this so much better. Like, if you bring in
dude.
like Blade or something into this movie, I'm like, yeah, now we're talking.
100%. All right.
I like you got X-Wing in his Critical's hat. That's pretty good.
There we go. Yeah, so this is where he gets back to the hotel. This guy, did he smoke like 18,000 cigarettes in this fucking movie? Oh my god!
Right,
She must
seriously.
have, yeah. There's actually a lot of like stuff. Like even though I'm not a smoker, I do appreciate like stylish smoking in movies. And granted, it's not done especially well in this. It's not necessarily bad. Like I think Lena Olin's got the coolest cigarettes because she's got the case. It's got the little. They look like little mini cigars.
She's smoking black cloves, I think.
Yeah,
she's clove cigarettes.
Yep.
Well, and there is something about a movie like this where it is like if you've ever smoked at any point in your life, it's like between all the drinking and the smoking, you're like, this is one of those movies that makes you like, man, I could use.
I want to take a puff right now.
Yeah,
not to ruin any of the trivia, but they were wanting somebody in their mid 40s and not Johnny Depp originally, so he decided to basically smoke and drink so much on set that he would get to the age,
Just age himself up by ruining his appearance.
Well done, Johnny.
Yeah, here's this chick again. Here's the chick again. He's just
like, this is where I started to realize I'm really gonna hate this character, Arda, because it's just she's always responding with questions. She's just never giving a lick away.
At least she's attractive. Like if she was just a
she's all right. I mean, she's fine, I guess. But
if this was modern filmmaking, though, it'd be like a really ugly chick.
Oh yeah,
it'd be even worse. So I guess
I'll be honest. I would argue that Lena Olin would have been far more interesting in her role. Because Lena Olin at least comes off like there's something seductive about her, the way she talks. She's got kind of a
she's better actress,
she's got kind of a not necessarily a husky voice, but she has kind of a deep voice and everything. She's got a demeanor about her. I actually think would have worked far better.
Yeah, this is where Balkan. He's giving Balkan. I like how Balkan's like, he wants his update so badly. He's like, no, I'll wait on the phone. I'll have them send it up to your room. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, I'll call. And he keeps asking Balkan, where are you? Where? And he's like, he just doesn't answer him. And then obviously you find out later, but why?
Actually, sorry to interject.
No, you're good.
We were talking about that actress. You know who I was thinking she was at first? I thought it was a young Patricia Arquette. Is who I thought she was. There's something about her that kind of.
She does have that kind of. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, she has similarities.
Face shape or something.
She's not as pretty as a young Patricia Arquette, but there's some similarities. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 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 This is So he takes the phone. Yeah, I like how he wakes up and the chick knocks on the door. She's like, "That's time."
I'll give it that it was a little funny that he put part of the phone in the ashtray. I don't know why. I just thought that was kind of amusing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he still has the bite marks on his chest. At least some continuity there.
Yeah,
they're still there.
That's true.
Trophies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remembrances.
They were actually in another movie together later that year, I think. Chocolat, which you know what? That's not actually pretty good. It's actually a pretty good movie.
Isn't that based on a true story?
I have no idea if it's true or not. I just
maybe I want it to be. Goddamn.
There's something kind of like I think semi-fantastical about it, so it might still be sort of based on a true story, but
Nadia, you poor soul.
Nadia, you're gonna love the score I give.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Although if you've been on Critic List, you might be one of the people who downvoted me.
I know you're at like 6 now. So
yes,
dude, look at this green screen. Like even in the still shot here, like
I'm at 7 now.
I mean, look at this. Look at it. It's like so. I'm like, I get it. 2000, but like even bad movies in the 2000s still had better.
Yeah.
Green screen is so bad.
The green screen was real rough.
Oh yeah, this is where they go back to the guy's house with the second copy, and he's dead. She
lets him walk up to the gate and ring the bell. Oh no, he's not there. He's over there. And I'm like, you could have told him when they first freaking got there.
Yeah, like why are you? Yeah, well, she's playing games with him, obviously.
I hate this woman so much. I really hate this woman.
That's all I kept texting.
I'll be honest. This movie literally could have the residual effect. If I ever see her in another movie again, I might inadvertently hate her because I'm like, you're the girl on the ninth gate, and I'm against you automatically. How dare you?
I doubt she was in many movies after this.
I hate her.
I'll be honest. I don't. It's not necessarily her fault. It's a horribly written part. I mean, her acting tone matches pretty much everybody else's.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So the book gets burned after whatever was taken from it. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, the pictures are taken.
Pictures are pictures. Yeah. Yeah. Why are you? And he's asking all these questions, and she's like, "Well," she won't answer him directly. She has these smart ass.
She won't answer anything. She gives him nothing away, and I'm like, "Why are you putting up with this chick?" I'm believe me, I'm having to clean up my thoughts with all of the bad language that occurs to me every time I see her.
Yeah.
Every time I see her, words that I try not to say, cross my mind that I want to call her. Because I hate her character so much.
And I like how he just lets her just come with it, and he still does it. He's not getting the answers he wants from her, but it's like, oh yeah, I'll take you on this plane trip. We'll go to these other.
Wait, did Nadia think this was End of Days? That's another Satan movie, which is way better than this. And
it is better. It's not good, but it's better than this. Yeah,
it's all right. I mean, Gabriel Byrne playing the devil is a great choice.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. Schwarzenegger trying to act though, it's like, well,
hey, he's good in Predator and Terminator.
And Terminator. Oh God, she was kidding. I was like, oh God, I was like, what the fuck, Nadia?
Oh, Nadia, you let me have hope for a while that you had.
Yeah, I was gonna say you actually liked a better movie. Yeah.
I want to know why people actually like this for real.
Well, yeah.
What is it? Seriously. And apparently, I'm very much intrigued by the people who are mad at my review of this, because I'm just like, do you really think this is good? It's one thing if you like it, but are you actually under the impression this is good?
Yeah.
It's because it's really not.
Is this where he makes copies of the book? Doesn't he give that?
He's checking stuff against it as much as he can, I guess.
Yeah. I thought there was. Oh no, that comes later when he makes copies.
I think that was to illustrate that the drawings are ripped out.
Yeah. Oh God. So
he's a great book guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this part here. And again, this is the scene. Okay, this is one of the instances we were talking about backstage about the music tone in the movie, because here you got like this goofy music playing, and it's supposed to be like it's a suspenseful moment. He's going to meet this other woman to get about this third book or whatever, and it's like this like this goofy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
so the theme continues throughout the movie, and they play it so many times, and it reminds me a lot of the primary like little jaunty theme that they have in the Ghostbusters movie.
Yes, I thought the same thing. I thought the exact same thing.
Good catch.
It sounds just like that. And I literally, to the point in which I started Googling and searching, trying to figure out, and I'm like, is this the same guy? Like, is this the same?
Who they apparently said, look, we'll pay you $500. Give us 2 songs. Because there's literally like 2 songs in this entire soundtrack.
And they're just on repeat.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
There's one that sounds semi-suspenseful, and there's another one that sounds like it's just kind of trying to progress the action. I did part of me, I guess, is amused that this was made back in a time where you could have kind of the overtly dykey second to an important person, which this woman very much is. Dude. I even like the line where he's like, "Have you seen the receptionist or whatever her role is?" I was like, that's a little funny. That's a little funny.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but she is scary looking. Thank you, Zax, for being a member for 19 months. You beautiful, beautiful specimen. I'm going to give you this. This is for you. This is what I'm going to do to you in Vegas.
But I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the
ass. And again, Boosh, another one. Thank you for 7 months, my man. Appreciate you. I'm going to give you German Chucky.
Und schmeiß ich dich ins Feuer! Du dämliches Weibstück! Du willst mir tun? Ich werd's dir zeigen! Nein!
And then, of course, my favorite White Bear. You beautiful, beautiful white man, you.
My name is Jeff.
Well, at least you've heard of the book collector. I'm going to give you the one you're waiting for, White Bear. I know you want.
Oh, yeah.
This is for you, buddy.
I'm retarded?
Thank you all for being members for so long. You're beautiful people. We love you. Sitting through this movie with us. We love you for doing it. So this is where he meets the old this fucking woman, man.
She was honestly, I didn't dislike her character. I even will give the actress credit. She's acting. Good for her. Kind of makes her
She's
sick a little
acting.
bit,
She's breathing on her own.
Yeah. What a beautiful book collection.
Like this, like I felt like you could have drawn a lot. Like I said, this is the closest thing they get to one of these scenes where he's investigating actually starting to be interesting and whatnot. I liked the banter between the two of them. Or at least coming from her, I thought like they actually kind of built a character out of her dialogue, and I was like, okay, that's a little something.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happens to her? You brought it up.
It's
comical. Man.
I laughed.
Man.
I laughed.
Dude, yes, it's fantastic.
The way that it's just
think the closet scene in The Ring, but
yep.
the complete opposite tone.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's why I wonder too. Even that moment, it feels comedic intentionally. Like, and I don't know if it is. It very well might not have been, but it's like maybe.
I mean, it's not. It's like it's not listed in its genres that it's trying to be comedic, and just the overall vibe it seems they're going for. It's just it feels like it'd be one thing. It's like if you're trying to inject levity, but you're literally shifting the tone here and there, and it's so jarring.
Yeah,
she gets pissed at him though here soon, where she guesses who sent him, and she's like, "Get out of my office!" Like, if I knew it was for Balkan, I would have never let you. It's like, what the fuck?
No. I actually get what why she's calling him kind of the wolf in sheep's clothing. The impression she gets is that this is his reputation. This is kind of why I think that first scene with him is kind of damaging, because I'm like, you're wrecking it's like you would have a bad reputation where if people know who you are, they're like, this guy's he's crap. He's a swindler. Yeah. So she's kind of just like, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Get the heck out of here. Because she gets the impression, you're just working for him. He just wants my book, and you're going to try to undersell it or whatever. Get the heck out of here. It's like I guess at least that's the impression I got. So I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and then he does take off here, and he's she's this woman eating her orange.
And by the way, that line, he's like, she's like, you don't know what you're getting into. You better get out before it's too late. And he's like, I'm afraid it already has. There's no weight behind that statement, and there absolutely should be, because people are freaking dying. And he's just like, it already is. It's just complete indifference. And I'm like, Johnny, act. You are a paid man.
Yeah.
Act, please. You're so reliable all the time. Otherwise, it's like, why are you just not caring in this movie?
Yeah, and then this guy following him like the whole way, and he goes into that little cafe and waits till it's dark. And dude, even the scene here, the CGI sucks with a fucking reflection. You can tell it's fake, number one. And I'm like, bro, like you couldn't it's a reflection. Like how you couldn't even
and like the it doesn't serve a good purpose either. No, it's just like, do you really need him to just have his vision that obscured?
Right?
Put up a curtain, tint the windows. You have to CGI it, just tint the windows a bit. Is that really that difficult?
And here comes my favorite part of the whole movie, where the guy, as he goes up the stair, like he's beating him up, and then this dude, when this chick floats down the stairs.
Oh my gosh! And you know what? I thought it was it's a mistake to show you there's a supernatural component.
I mean,
what the heck?
And I literally,
why?
I laughed out loud. I go, wait a minute, did she just float down the stairs? And I'm like,
why did this happen just now? And this is what I'm saying. This is what I think they thought gave her character. We're not going to tell you jack squat about her, she's supernatural. That's what gives her character. And I'm like, no, screw you. That's not character.
I mean, look at the way she jump kicks him here. And I'm like, it's so bad. It's so... And I'm just like, wait, like this is supposed to be a fight between a supernatural person and like they're all. I'm just like, what is going on?
A cult underling.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like we were talking about, if they had leaned into the supernatural stuff earlier, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this movie. Like, if they had been giving us that in slow doses, we'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Now, granted, the way she floats down those stairs is straight up stupid. God. But like that aside, it at least would have just been like. For real.
Like you said, like, at least the supernatural stuff, if it was introduced earlier, we're like, all right, that's goofy, but at least I understand why maybe this has happened. It just happens out of nowhere, and you're right.
Almost like Roman Polanski or whoever wrote the script, I guess, forgot that you can make a character mysterious and still let us learn about them. That's very possible to hide motives while still telling us about who they're like. Okay, if the implication is she's either the devil or works with the devil or something like that, whatever the heck she is, I'm like, you can give us dialogue that is really nice and interesting that sort of
100%.
alludes to that without actually giving it away. If you know how to write, I don't know.
No,
but no, she's just gonna float down the steps and just rub blood on his face, and then he walks around with it. It's
with it on, yeah.
What the heck?
And then
you don't know where I've been, Johnny.
Yeah, it's that time of the month, Johnny.
And by the way, basically all of the scenes that have a level of intimacy to them, every one of them is awkward, really awkward.
Well, it's because and then they're here with her eyes changing, and he's like hypnotized, and then does this. Then the phone rings, and he's got this on his forehead. And I'm just like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
He's gonna walk around with blood all over me.
Oh god!
Right, and he still just barely reacts to it. He's just kind of, huh, and then just continues to go about his day. Like every reaction in this is just like,
you're right. You're right. Oh,
I'm like, really, if you want to make him this nonchalant, he should be walking around whenever he feels the need, just fart out loud, just be the most whatever person possible. If that's what you're going for, go all the way.
God, yeah, and he's talking to Balkan again here, right? Yeah, it's so stupid. Oh yeah, is this where he tells him? No, this isn't where Balkan tells him to meet him. But he's trying. He's
still trying to get the book, and he's like, "Yeah, try the lunch break or whatever." And I'm like,
"Yeah,"
which really doesn't play much into how he does, get in her good graces. It's just
okay. This is where he makes copies of the book. Okay, I'm sorry, I got that confused with earlier. Yeah, so he makes picture copies, and then he hides the book behind the fridge. I think in the.
Yeah,
great hiding spot. No one will ever look behind, an object in the room.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't know why he didn't just keep it on his person at that point, because all this crazy stuff's been happening, but that was literally about the only way that he was going to not get it stolen.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, oh well, I'm robbed or mugged or whatever at that point anyway. So whatever. Leaving it was absurd. I don't even know why that happened. And at that point, didn't he think that she was still in the house, or was she vanished?
She left. No, she was gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought the same thing at first, like why she's gonna be in there, like
right?
But then she was. I think he looked around and she was gone. So, this is where he goes back to the Baroness. I have something for you.
Yeah. See, she's not on lunch break. She's just okay. She's there.
Yep.
And he's like, I've got a peace offering and stuff. And
yep. So he goes, he goes. What does he give her? He gives her.
He basically shows her
why the differences
and why, and she understands the significance.
There's another thing that happened there just a second ago where he leaves the door open when he comes in and has to get buzzed in, and I'm just like, why the hell? It comes back to him being constantly nonchalant. I'm just like, why did he leave the door open? Like there was no reason.
Heck, honestly, why does a building that relies on those kind of lights, why does it not shut itself
automatically?
Automatically. And so it was clear that he left it open, and then things play out the way they do. And so it was just like when I saw that happen, I'm just like, that people are trying to kill you. What are you doing?
Yeah, look at that. She's eating a salad with one hand. That's a trick.
I didn't notice that she only had one hand.
One hand, yeah. I didn't either when he first visited her. I didn't notice until here when I was like, oh, she's one-handed, but at least she's got.
That's wild.
Yeah, drinking champagne with one hand, and
hey,
you go, girl. Yeah. So he tells her the differences here, and then he actually convinces her, right? Because of the
because he's like, look, I'm wanting to just see the differences because there's differences between these two copies, and
right.
She's like, okay, well, he's on to something. So, I clearly want to know the difference. Yeah, look at this.
The fourth pillar.
It's so obvious.
Yeah,
so obvious. And it's the fact that it has been documented that there are 3 authentic copies, which means somebody has checked all 3 of these. There are pictures. There would have to be pictures floating around for one to be able to do research on them. I think that pretty much is why Frank Langella's character knows that there's differences between them. That his obviously his attempts to get the pictures and whatnot, but it's like
and there's not
nobody noticed the fourth pillar,
right? Yeah, there's not.
It's not like someone would have photographed those. There's like 6 of them or something, or like 10.
You can go down to Kinko's and
right.
Yeah, this is the part you were saying, Gord, about why didn't they just kill him at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, they come up behind him. They do things like he's zooming in on it, and the camera's zooming in. Then boom, he gets knocked out. And I was like, okay, kill him then. Get him out of the way.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why keep him alive at this point?
Although I'm trying to. Because it's like they knock him out and they set the place on fire. It's like, so now granted, I think this is his employer maybe who did this.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that does explain why they didn't kill him. It's just, well, then why did you leave him to get burned? Do you just not? I mean, maybe it's just like whatever. Bro. If he survives, make it mind, kill him.
This scene, dude, like the way she's hitting the window, and I'm like, oh. Then when she turns
and the
around,
tongue.
Yeah, like
it's great.
Play it forward just a little. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, what is going on here? Oh my god!
Don't let it go to waste, Johnny. Those teeth come out.
Oh god.
Oh god! Yeah, and again, like Blaine was like, what, like. Obviously, the movie had a serious tone, but like at some point you gotta wonder, like, were they aware of this stuff? Like they had to know.
So.
Like they had
to be.
So.
I think given the music in the scene, I think they're going for serious here.
Yeah,
they were hoping that would be a startling image, and they only show it briefly, so maybe you're meant to kind of just get a quick impression, but it's
we
just
all
like,
found it disturbing.
We have high definition now in the pause button, so
and then she just rolls into the fire. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Oh god!
And the fact that he's able to just run out, nobody stops him,
dude.
And then when they discover her, I'm like, okay, come on. He should have people. He should have long ago started to have people after him. Like authorities,
he goes, people die, and he just runs away from it.
The secretary sees him running out of the freaking room.
Oh, what's up with this guy?
Oh, he's
running out in a way that looks very suspicious.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll give Johnny at least some credit. At least he finally looks somewhat like, oh gosh, this is actually kind of bad.
Yeah, he's got new glasses now too. He's looking good.
Yeah, now the book's missing.
The book's missing. Let's have a drink. And this is where I think.
What did he get knocked out with earlier?
Nobody knows.
Are you talking about like early in the movie?
Yeah, they didn't show.
Or he got hit with a bottle by the woman?
Okay. Yeah, the bottle.
Yeah.
The bottle cracking scene where it's a whole second off from that kid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what which version you watch.
Yeah, so he says here that this guy says that his wife came and got into his, like, he's like, I'm not married, which is weird because when he came in and got himself into the hotel, he didn't.
They take it on faith that this woman's his wife. They don't ID her. Nothing. Right.
This is Balkan. Yeah, this is the part where Balkan basically threatens
I get it's
him.
pre 9/11, but holy crap. We're just gonna I'm such and such's wife. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and then Balkan's basically like, he tells him, like, listen, I have a problem. Like, this is what's going on. Everybody's dead. And Balkan's like, oh, that's a shame. That's just a shame. And he tells him he lost the book, and then he doesn't talk for a minute. Then he basically threatens him, like, listen, you don't want to fuck with me, get the book. Or, and then meet me at this location. And then this fucking chick shows, I really hope she would have gotten shot by this point. And then she does ninja moves on him and tries to like intimidate him. I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, I think he's trying to go after.
Yeah, he tries to push her. Not push her. But
no, I think he's trying to go after someone, and she stops him, doesn't she? Or is that?
I thought he was trying to be like, who the fuck are you? Like trying to be like, who are you? Finally.
Oh, okay.
Getting a little not physical with her, but kind of confronting her, and she's like, she does her floating magic ninja shit on him, and yeah. And then this is where the front desk.
Which, by the way, wouldn't it be more like devilish if she doesn't react? She just smiles and just like whatever he does. She just doesn't seem the least bit bothered by it.
She's a devil ninja. She's a hell ninja. It's okay. She floats. Yeah. He asked the front desk to get him information earlier, right? About the woman. Was it the woman? Like or something?
Yeah. He wanted info because his employer, I think, I want to say.
He told him
something about and he's trying to find what hotel she's staying at.
He was like, you have to get the book back. Like, if you don't get the book back, you're toast, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is where they go up to the room. The room's being emptied out. There's nobody there.
And
So
also,
can-
the guy opens the door
He
right
leaves
in
it.
front of them and doesn't see them. Doesn't see them right there.
And the
then
luggage he's
also-
carrying is not that high where he couldn't have seen
No.
them, you know? Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. That was goofy. Yeah. And then he sees the albino haired guy, and then the what's her name? What's her name? The old lady, the older lady's name, Gord?
I know the actress. It's Lena Olin. but...
Telfer is the
Telfair?
woman's...
Yeah, Liana
Yeah.
Telfer. I'm
Liana
looking at her
Telfer.
on IMDb. Okay.
Yeah. And I love this, like, her acting here. They are going. It's like, yeah, wow, really earning that paycheck, huh? But yeah, so she steals.
Was that Andrew Tate?
Oh shit!
What
He
kind of car
steals
was
the
that?
most.
Is that a Dodge? Not a Viper.
I'm wondering if it was a Viper
Oh,
too.
that's
It's an early
pricey
Viper.
car. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that looks like a pricey car.
I can't. I know what you were thinking because I haven't seen a model specific like car in forever, so I
Right.
couldn't gauge. I forgot to look it up, but maybe it's.
I think the Vipers had sharper edges than
They
those
did.
but
They
that's,
did, yeah.
That's with. I think it was because of the red and stuff that we
Yeah.
instantly the mind goes towards that because that's what
Yep.
I thought it was too.
Yep.
I
No,
think. Yeah, it's like I don't know if any. I googled it and it says nobody knows specifically necessarily. It's not necessarily listed, but some are saying it's a Ferrari 458.
Oh, an older model. Okay.
Because I had wondered if it was like a Lotus or something too, but it didn't. I
Yeah.
don't even know if there's any badges on it.
No, I didn't see anything.
Well, there you can see kind of the emblem on the front. It does semi resemble the Ferrari one, but it's very distant, so it's hard to tell. Plus, I think they're cutting all these costs. I don't know. Did they really want to spurge for
You
a
got an
Ferrari?
expensive car. Oh, this was funny too. When she drives by and she's got the rack, like the
Yeah.
costume. It's like, oh my god. And I like how he gets up, like not even barely after they pass the car. Like they're not going to see him. It's like Jesus. The green screen again is pretty bad here. It's pretty bad. It's not as bad as the motorcycle, but it's pretty rough. Yeah. So they're yeah. Look at
This
his
guy's
face.
just a dick for some reason. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess
don't
when
know.
they got back onto the ramp, maybe like that threw off the truck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And he's like, which way? He's like, you pick, you know everything. And she needs this. Like, I didn't mind that. Like him saying, you know everything, you pick the direction. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But then she stops and he's like,
Backs up, yeah.
And then backs up and it's like, what's their name again? No, the maiden name. And I'm just like,
it's right in the window. I'm like,
right.
Oh my god, dude.
I'm like, really? Did we need that? Did we really need? Just keep going in that direction. It's like, yep, I was right. It's like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah,
it's just needlessly drawing out an already too long runtime.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, and then this is where they see the baker and they go, "Hey,
doesn't she smell it? Doesn't she smell at this point? She's been wearing the same clothes the entire movie.
Right.
No, she's from hell. She doesn't smell.
Yeah.
Well,
she smells like brimstone.
Brimstone. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So they have a chateau, right? Isn't this where it's like a chateau?
Well, this movie puts the shat in chateau.
Yeah, like, and again, I'm like, I'm checking because mind you, like I'm because at this point I'm just like, what is going on here?
Well, like for a brief moment, I was happy. I was like, okay, good. They weren't just able to drive in through the front.
Yeah.
But then they're walking out in the open. They're not exactly hiding, and I'm like,
no,
you're kind of undermining the whole avoiding security thing.
Yeah,
once
it's
they get
well
over. It's like, okay, we got over the gate, no problems. It's like, okay, sure.
And I love freaking Sassy's at it. Like as a woman, she's looking at all the candles that she goes, imagine lighting that shit every night. That would be exciting.
Yeah, it wasn't just her. I had the exact same thought.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, that's a lot of work, man.
Oh yeah, it's outrageous. Which I guess, hey, you got to light things up for the orgy. You got to get people excited when they're pulling in.
We're trying to.
What's really interesting? This came out the exact same year as Eyes Wide Shut.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut. So they're trying to like do that.
Bex actually brought that up in our chat that there's kind of similarities about like the whole cult thing and everything. It's not like, but that one is. I mean, to my understanding, from what I've heard about it, is actually a competent movie. I haven't seen it personally.
It's kind of meandering like this as well, to a degree.
Yeah,
there's
no comedic.
That was what's his name? Who's the famous director?
Well, yeah, that was
Stanley Kubrick's
last movie.
Yeah, the whole I don't know if you saw that Joe Rogan thing where Tarantino and his buddy talked about that movie, basically saying that the studio completely gutted what Kubrick made and changed it. So whatever Kubrick wanted to have in there, when he died, they went back the studio and said, we're redoing this because there were things he put that like we don't want this out in the open, we don't want people to see this stuff. So they changed like a lot of the script.
Well, because a lot of people associated his death and stuff too, because it was the last movie he made, and that he was essentially like outing what we all know now.
100%.
So
there's a big conspiracy about that.
Yeah, it seems like that probably was the case, and even now, I mean, it's still kind of scandalous, but you can tell like I could definitely see what they would have removed from it.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's if you ever do watch it, Gord, I know you like to research the like what you're not going to know everything that Kubrick actually wanted in the movie or put out, what they cut out.
Right.
They'll explain that the studio basically gutted a lot of his movie. So it's really not his movie. It's the studio. It turns out
that just like a whole portion of the movie was just him outing that he filmed the moon landing. That's all it was.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
Incoming nudity, just
I know.
Just a butt. Yeah.
Just a butt. But yeah, this is where the way that they're like getting up to these like places and the way it's just like this is so fucking stupid.
And they missed a moment too. We know that she can float. She could have ninja floated
That's what
right
I'm saying.
up there, and they didn't do it.
Boobs.
You got lucky there, Kenobi. Dang.
I know.
That was perfect.
Perfect.
That was impressive.
I'm a veteran. I've been doing this for a while. Yeah. I like this. What are you doing here? It's like you stole my book, bitch. What the fuck you think I was gonna do? Let it go. I just love this. Like this is so. And then the guy is this where the guy comes into the room? And I like how she's like tries to this It's like you're right. This whole movie, everybody's like not.
Yeah, if she intended to stop her, why is she not intervening throughout this entire scene?
Thank you.
It's like, what is your motive, woman?
Look at this fucking guy.
Who designed this character?
Who was that R&B singer in the 90s that had this kind of hair? It was popular. I can't think of his name.
The one who sang the thong song?
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy.
Cisco.
Cisco.
Yeah. Like, what's up with this satanic Cisco bullcrap?
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah, it's bad. Oh God. Yeah, this is. Oh, and then the way. Okay, so he has the gun on.
Gene Cisco and Roger Ebert.
Right. The way
that I would watch those critics.
Oh, 100%. The way that he gets away from like this whole. They're walking down the stairs, and like Blaine's right. She's a fucking devil ninja. Like, how is she not the one who?
Well, he's at least smart enough to keep her in between them.
Oh, I know.
And look, this. I know tons of movies do this, but it aggravates me all the time. Guns are ranged weapons. Putting a gun up to a person's body is basically never a good idea.
Like the way he says, "Watch out," and the way he get like, "Oh shit!" Like, whoops. Now all of a sudden he knows.
And I am sorry, I don't buy that his character would do that.
No,
I don't buy that he has the balls to do that, or even the know-how.
Some Mr. Magoo level shit where he like trips and makes him
he
fall.
He fumbled the crap out of that. Exactly.
Yeah.
He should have fumbled the crap out of that. And you know what? It would have at least added a little bit to the comedic tone, but that could have been kind of an earned moment a bit. So
yeah.
Like,
and this is where we get the eyes wide shut type shit.
Yeah.
It was way forced. You could tell. Like, did this come out after Eyes Wide Shut?
It was the exact same year.
Pretty much about the same year. I think that one released. I think Eyes Wide Shut released before it did.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
But it would have been made or basically.
Look at these. Like these look like bad. Like I said, a lot of this movie just looks like a bad stage play. It's like the costumes,
all those flames and all that polyester. Come on, y'all.
The thing is, nothing. Go ahead.
And no, I was just gonna say he makes fun of them. He's like, y'all are a bunch of old idiots dressed up like buffoons. Like, so at least with that, they lean into how it looks kind of cheesy with them, and he's calling attention to it too.
Well, Gordon,
I would argue honestly though, this is almost accidentally self-aware with how bad the rest of the movie is because it's the most vanilla version of Satanism I've seen in a movie.
Right.
Like of all the movies that tackle this kind of subject matter, this is really one of the worst ones I've seen because it just does nothing really all that interesting with its material. So even when he appears here and he's saying all that stuff, and I'm just like, I honestly didn't need you to say any of this, dude, because believe me, I already get how goofy this is.
What about what Sassy was saying backstage before the show about how basically you're going to get into that. Isn't this where we kind of discover like Johnny Depp is useless
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Okay.
But even when so he kills Lena Olin. So even when she's like, "No, you're off the hook now because he murdered somebody in front of," I'm like, "No."
By the way,
that's not off the hook because of this. What are you talking about?
Devil,
what? Because this guy killed this woman miles and miles away from all these other killings. Oh, well, that means he killed everybody else. And I'm like, that's not how police investigations work, sweetheart. That's not what that means.
We also forgot that Devil Girl floated down again.
Oh, bloody hell.
She did. She did.
She did the floating thing again. She started. And look at it. His face is just like, whatever.
Oh, my God. He's just I alone grasp its secrets. And I'm like, what secrets? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so he grabs the butt.
Yeah, there's naked people running.
More butts.
Yeah, Canoli's like getting so lucky with this because like it was blurry there and everything. He's just
see, a veteran, brother. You're out of a job. It's over.
And this line really pissed me off because this is where they're trying to allude to the idea that he's become obsessed with finding answers. I'm like, nothing in his demeanor, nothing in his dialogue has indicated whatsoever that he has a growing obsession with this mystery, whatever the heck it even is at this point. It is so unearned.
Why couldn't he?
I totally agree.
Why couldn't he run her over at this point? Not taking me for a
stuff. I'm not even talking about the character, the actress.
Yes.
This is where the movie kind of lost me. Is where they're just like all of a sudden pretending like he is like that he has earned this whole thing, and he's just like a dog with a bone about all this. And it's like, no, he's just kind of been aimlessly wandering up to this.
Yeah, even him crashing here. It's just like, why are you artificially slowing this down? Why?
Yeah. He didn't have to stop the car.
Nothing happens between him now and when he actually finds the dude. And I'm like, did you really need to slow him down again?
You know what, Spartan Flash? Thanks for showing up, dude. Not a bad idea, actually. Yes, for a future show. I actually like The Devil's Advocate. I know it's not a great, perfect movie, but I love Pacino, so like
it's fun.
And then it's fun to make fun of Keanu Reeves trying to act too. So.
By the way, Bushi's already going to get his money. Even Franklin Joe's character, he's like, your money is waiting at your hotel. You're fine.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
The implication is he's obsessed with the mystery itself, and I'm like, based on what? Based on what?
Yeah.
It's like he really should just take his money and go. It's like that's it. Like that would actually be believable if his character's like, all right, just give me my money. I'm out of here.
By the way, that bread looks really good. I'm a fatty.
I saw. So there was I saw some people talking about it, and they claim that the moment where he's getting into the car and she's like, "You don't want to take me" or whatever. There's a line there where she's like, "Don't you work for him or something?" Or she was like, I thought that you did. And like, everybody's like points to that line as being like them dropping that, like he's finally like given into basically working for himself and doing whatever he wants. But it's like you said, he hasn't earned it though.
Yeah, nothing in this movie has earned that's not at all a payoff. It does nothing for this movie.
It's like we didn't get any dialogue where he's like, I'm obsessed with this. I have to figure it out.
Because if you're dropping tidbits about what this mystery even entails, because they don't even tell you right until the end that summoning the devil means the person who does so is going to be like super duper powerful. They haven't alluded to that whatsoever. So if you were dropping hints about the kind of things a person could do if they did whatever this book alludes to, you know, if you're starting to unravel that and there's all these other interesting factors, you could buy a person getting obsessed with this. And again, if you have my idea where he's a little less morally compromised and he's kind of slowly falling into this, his morality's decaying over the course of this movie. You have something so much more interesting you could have your audience cling to. And like I said, it's everything's nonchalant. There's very little information. It's just like we get here and it's just like, oh, okay, he's trying to summon the devil. Fine. I guess.
This is the part.
Is that bad? I don't even know if the movie thinks that's bad.
Yeah, this is the part where Sassy and I looked at each other and go, is this movie ever going to end? We're just like, where is it? So yeah, this is where he figures out where the ritual, like the cat, this was like,
he's doing the raise the devil ritual. So his real plan was just to get his hands on the drawings, which if you think about how he has come to get these pages, he already had the one book. He got both of the other books and their pictures by force. Johnny Depp has really no purpose in this movie. The movie everything could have carried out completely as is without him.
It's true.
Like Indiana Jones or something. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's that, but actually back. Indiana Jones thing is not really true, there's elements to it that's true, but the one thing they always leave out is that Marion would have been killed. But he at least still has a reason to do what he's doing. There's purpose behind what he's doing, even though most everything would have still played out the way it did without him. It's the fact that even plot-wise, it doesn't make sense that this guy involved Johnny Depp. He literally could have gotten to these pretty much however he wanted. He got to them by force anyway. He doesn't.
We're about to hit another
Johnny
goofy
Depp.
moment too.
Yeah, there's a couple of goofy moments. Yeah,
like this whole bit, he falls through the freaking floor and he's stuck. It's like a Looney Tunes moment.
And by the way, if you pay attention here, you can see that's not. I was the joke was it looks like a young Howard Stern here, like with the WNBC.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Bush. He really didn't. He didn't need Corso as a go-between. He killed those people.
Bro, you couldn't get a.
He killed those people. He didn't need a go-between. He could have broken into their houses and killed them and taken the pictures.
You couldn't get a better.
Literally, all he needed to do.
You couldn't get a better stunt double here. I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, he's got the working for him. That's about all you need right there.
Nothing.
Break into these people's home, kill them. We get the pages. Bing, bang, boom.
You didn't look close enough, though. The gun had Acme written across it.
But you're right, Blaine. This part was so stupid. Like he's stuck in the floor.
And that's the thing. I do feel like they were playing it for like trying to be a little silly with it, because it's like, how could it not be intentional? Like it feels too obviously silly, and there's so many of those moments where it's just like this has got to be. You had to have.
It feels like it should be. It's just it's the fact that they never fully commit that. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I feel like sometimes you're going for comedy, but it's hard to really tell. So it just tonally, it's always off. It's like, if this had been a full-blown comedy, I probably would have liked this quite a bit if it had really leaned hard.
Yeah.
You probably could have done something with it.
Yeah, and I love this. Or he does the ritual. He lights himself on fire, lights the whole area, and he's like playing it. I was like, oh man, I don't feel the flames. I feel the power of the. It's like,
and honestly, what's really stupid about this part is, so she tells him here in a bit, well, it didn't work because one of the pictures was a forgery. And I'm like, well, then why did it work at all then? Because it clearly works for a little while.
Yeah.
And then it's like everything works up until he pours gasoline on himself. And I guess the devil's like, tee-hee, got you. And he burns up, which I'm sorry, it looks funny. Yeah. And I'm like, why did it work at all if one of the pictures was a forgery?
Well, at least Johnny Depp fell through the floor.
Well, and we don't even know what really makes it work. Did he do an actual like incantation here? Like
he did an incantation. Well, the thing that shows that there's something work, he puts his hands in fire before anything, and it's clearly doing nothing to him. So I'm like, okay, this is working. And he's burning for a while and he's fine. It's like, okay, it's working, but then it's like, haha, on fire for real now. And by the way, I don't even like that Johnny Depp, if you're trying to suggest that Johnny Depp's character has decayed morally to where he goes the full mile at the end, I'm like, I don't think he should have mercy killed him.
Right.
Go mercy kill him. Let him burn.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good indicator that, whoa, he's cold now.
Cisco would have let him burn.
There's a scene coming up here.
Yeah, there's the whole cringe, green-eyed, which, does anyone know why her face was morphing into another woman at times during this?
Well, no, it was like demonic. It was that she was like showing her like inner devil, which, and I guess that brings us to the question, and Flash was talking about it in the chat, where do you guys think that she is the devil, or is she like the whore of Babylon?
According to what Vex was saying in the book, she is.
Yeah, because that's what I thought, is she actually is the devil.
So she,
in which case, what's the point of what they're doing? If she's already here, you're summoning someone who's already there?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
She's just a whore.
In this movie, she is. Yeah.
Like the only thing I could think of maybe is that she's the woman from Revelation, the whore of Babylon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe, but they never really allude to. No, Bush. We're trying to be literal, not the figurative sense in which we all mean what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Then she leaves this little hint that they're.
Yeah, like I get the sense she's supposed to be maybe like the whore of Babylon, but they really never do anything dialogue. Like to me, it's like generally the easiest way to help your dialogue when you're describing, things about Satan and whatnot is incorporate scripture into it.
Yeah,
to try to make some connections here and there. You can obviously leave the focus on the devil book and everything. That's totally fine and everything. But if you allude further to scripture, it adds something, to the creepiness, and they just never really do it.
Yeah. So and
then she basically leaves a note to go to these guys. This is the twins' place, and the place, the real drawing is there.
Yeah, it's up. Yeah, well, I love how the place is abandoned, right? They either they moved or they sold or whatever happened, and then I like how these guys are taking this shelving unit down, and all of a sudden the page just floats off the top. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, the devil staged this event clearly.
Yeah, just for that, and then it tells basically ends with him walking up to where the ritual was.
Yeah, I guess he gets to go through the ninth gate, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a very unsatisfying ending.
People did not like the ending. Even people who liked the movie were like, yeah, the ending didn't really give you much.
Right. Well, and the movie doesn't really give you much. It doesn't tell you much. There's a lot of things that they just leave up to you to decide or to figure out.
Oh, thank God it's over. Oh my God, we got through that. Yeah, I was very listen, I was whatever research I did about the movie, I don't look into major plot points. I just wanted to see what the audience score more than the critics. And it was what is it, a 53% or something on Flickster or and then on other sites people. But yeah, then I go to critic list and I'm like, wow, people Gordon, people like this movie. They're giving
there's 3 other people that gave it high scores. And
I can't believe that. I mean, granted, it's still here's the weird thing. So okay, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, critics score it's 43%. Make of that what you will. I'm very close to agreeing with that percentage-wise. Granted, percentage is not Rotten Tomatoes is a terrible system in general because it's just a percentage of people who voted it less than 6.
Right.
But even its audience score is only 58%. So that would suggest this isn't a well-liked movie. But apparently, the people who like it really like it.
Really like it.
I would genuinely love to know why. Because I get that there are interesting elements to it, but I actually think Vex said it really well in our chat where she was just I feel like maybe it's just I can mentally extract things from this and kind of in my head make it more interesting than this. And I'm like, okay, I totally get that. I do that with movies myself all the time. Annihilation is a great example of that. Annihilation is not a well-written movie at all, but I still really kind of love the movie because there are things in it that I like to think about and ponder, based on some of the stuff that happens that I do find really interesting. Right. But I can still acknowledge it's a bad movie. And I'm just apparently people think this is good. And I was like, right? No, it's not.
Yeah. I think the idea of this movie is far better than the movie itself. If you were to tell someone about it, and I think that's my thing is even from back when I watched it, it's what was in my mind was the memory of the story and how compelling it sounds like it could be. It's just not. And
when you rewatch it later on, you're like, oh.
It is one of those things where it's I watched this when I was 12 or 14. I thought it was cool, and you went through it. You saw it, and you're like, okay, I think there's some cool stuff going on there, and all that. And then you rewatch it, and you're like, oh,
And if the people who again, I am amused to no end that people are downvoting my review of this so much. I'm really amused by it. I think it's hilarious, but I'm just is it just that you saw this young and you thought it was just deeper than it was?
That happens.
Because I would encourage y'all to go back and watch it and be honest.
I was 14 years old and this was deep.
Exactly. I really think that's what a lot of people who like this movie are basing on. I saw it when I was young and it seemed really deep. And it's watch it as a grown up.
Do you
watch what? I'll tell you what. Watch another Polanski movie side by side. Watch Rosemary's Baby and then watch this and then try to tell me it's
right.
Because Rosemary's Baby is freaking creepy.
Oh yeah, it's very creepy. Do you have the trivia, Gord? Did Vex?
I do, courtesy of Vex. Thank you, Vex. The Ninth Gate, released in the States March 10th, 2000 in 1,586 cinemas. It opened to a 6.6 million. It's like it knew. Was it 6.66 million? Oh my gosh. Debuted at number 2 domestically. It ended up making a worldwide box office gross of 58.4 million, 18.6 domestic. The budget kind of blows me away because this a 2000s budget cost 38 million.
Oof.
What did you spend your money on?
It wasn't the green screen, I'll tell you that.
For real.
Debbie pay cut.
That's a big budget for this kind of movie back then. I bet you could make this movie today for about 5.
It's probably all Johnny Depp's his pay for the whole movie.
Right.
Honestly, I'll tell you what. This is an example of a movie. This is the kind of movie that should get remade because I feel like you could remake this and make something really, really good. Stop remaking good movies. Movies like this that missed the mark, and you could make something better from.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Roman Polanski read the screenplay by Enrique Urbizu. Sure. An adaptation of the Spanish novel El Club Dumas, The Club Dumas from 1993 by Arturo Pérez-Reverte. Impressed with the script, Polanski read the novel, liking it because he saw so many elements that seemed good for a movie. It was suspenseful, funny, and there were a great number of secondary characters that are tremendously cinematic. Pérez-Reverte's novel El Club Dumas featured intertwined plots, so Polanski wrote his own adaptation with his usual partner, John Brown John. What a great John Brown John.
Right.
What a great name. They deleted. I hope John Brown John is black.
He just totally shit himself on set one time, and then that was it. It's like, your name's Brown John.
That's a great name. They deleted the novel's literary references and a subplot about Dean Corso's investigation of an original manuscript of the chapter of The Three Musketeers and concentrated upon Corso's pursuing the authentic copy of The Nine Gates. Gonna be honest, I think if they'd incorporated some novels that we knew, they might have had something better on their hands. The Don Quixote that Corso buys at the beginning of the film is the very famous Joaquin Ibarra edition, published in 1780, which is generally considered as the best and most beautiful one. He also mentions the Hypnerod. What the heck word is that? Hypnerotomachia polyphilia. I don't. Whatever. This is a weird
Latin bullshit.
Hypnerotomachia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some Italian shit. I don't know.
You're getting Italian. Say it, Cannoli.
It's a thing published in Venice, 1499, printed by Francesco Colonna, dubbed the most beautiful book ever printed. These amazing illustrations can be viewed on the internet. All of the engravings appearing in The Nine Gates were commissioned for the novel and not the movie by author Arturo Pérez-Reverte himself. The only exception is the one showing the woman riding a dragon, which was altered to make her face look like the girl and the burning castle to match the location used.
That's gay.
Honestly, that's not a bad idea. I think making the drawing look overtly like the woman is kind of cheesy.
That's kind of.
I don't think you actually need that. I think it's too obviously trying to draw people's attention. Yeah. Like it's her. Dun, dun,
right.
dun.
She's always been there.
Yeah. In case you didn't get it, audience, you retards.
Stupid.
All of the engravings appearing in I already did that. The bag that Dean Corso carries throughout the film is a small bag carried by French soldiers around 1935. It was used to carry ammunition and other small items. It is called a Musette MLE 35.
Interesting.
There is a whole subplot in the novel regarding the French hotel's receptionist and his past interactions with Corso. I actually think they kind of needed that because him doing favors for him, I'm like, why? But
yeah, you didn't know. Yeah. They didn't.
Could have given us a little something. In the film, the hotel manager is named Gruber and has a half-inch middle mustache like Adolf Hitler's.
Nice,
great. This is a reference to the book where he is described as extremely punctilious. That's not a word I use often.
Punctual?
No, not punctual. I freaking know the word punctual.
I know what you mean.
No, punctilious. I'm going to look this word up right now on stream. We're doing this now, guys.
We're doing it now. Nope,
I got to know what does this word mean? It means showing great attention to detail or correct behavior. Okay, it's
all right.
Punctilious. There we go. Okay. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not a word I hear often, but might try to. I'm going to try to learn how exactly to say it because I know I'm butchering it. It detailed a man who wears his uniform with military discipline, and it is heavily implied that he is a former Nazi and possibly a war criminal who changed his identity and also owes Corso some sort of favor. This explains his attitude towards him in the film. And did we get a sense of his attitude?
No, not really.
I think that would require acting. And why he does not question his extremely suspicious requests.
Right.
You know what's funny is thinking about it. I guess those are suspicious requests. It's just the tone doesn't suggest anything suspicious about it. Johnny Depp didn't take his usual $10 million fee for the opportunity to work with Roman Polanski. He joined the production in 1997 after meeting Polanski at Cannes. You should have gotten your $10 million, dude. The mystery girl reads the book How to Make Friends and Influence People. Charles Manson also read and used this book. He orchestrated the killing of Sharon Tate, director Roman Polanski's wife.
Wow.
And finally, after the release of The Ninth Gate, Artisan sued Polanski for taking more than $1 million from the budget, refunds of France's value-added tax that he did not give to the completion bond company, guaranteeing Artisan Entertainment to a completed film. So he's a rapist and a thief. So there you go.
Liar. Yeah, she said there was not there was really no casting trivia, which
and he made a really crappy film.
You made a bad film. Well, thank you, Gord. That was lovely.
Yeah.
Your wordsmithing is a thing of beauty.
I try. I just imagine me trying to read those couple of words I didn't understand in Vex's voice.
Oh, well, imagine
He
her.
is extremely punctilious.
Well, just imagine her trying to read them. Period. You know, with the
I need to call grammar tech support now, which is another Indian. In fact, it is me.
I hired myself. Yeah, so that's The Ninth Gate. So I guess Blaine, give us your final thoughts and like whatever rating system you want to use. If it's the critical system, whatever.
I'd use ours, but yeah. I mean, I think I'd give it probably like a 50%. I don't hate it. Like, I don't think that this is great. It has a lot of problems. The more we talk about it, the more issues I have with it. I literally started watching this, made it halfway through, took a nap, and finished the rest. So if that does anything.
I feel a lot better now.
Yeah, me too.
It helped me power through that last half. Like, I don't hate it. I think it like we were saying, the idea of the movie is much better than the movie itself. Sure. It has a lot of potential, even though Johnny Depp kind of phones it in a way. It's hard not to still love Johnny because he's just him. He just does his thing. Like, and he's just appealing. He's nice to watch. Like he you know. So anyways, yeah, all of that. And I think the concept of it's cool, but the movie is not very good. I could honestly even give it below a 50. It's like, I kind of want it to squeak out a decent just for nostalgia's sake, but because I don't like hate it.
I think 40% still keeps it in decent.
It does. So I could give it a 40 and feel safe. Like, bogus feels a little mean to me, so I'm just like, I don't like dislike it to that level. So I got you. We'll go with the lowest of decents then, a 40.
Yeah, so. Right on the border of bogus and all right, that's fair enough. I'll give you that. Well, shit, Gord. Give us your final thoughts.
Sorry, I just noticed Whitey's monocle mustache. Yeah. Subscribe.
She's cute now.
I love it. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So I'm not gonna like. The funny thing is, actually, probably the first time. If I had just been doing this off of that first watch, I probably would be scoring it about the same. But. Yeah, there's very little about this movie I like at all. And I find it immensely frustrating because I do think there's a really good collection of ideas. I even think the majority of the cast is right, say for the blonde chick. I can honestly argue you could well, I wouldn't cut her character. I would just I would completely overhaul her character writing wise and recast her as somebody else, somebody more likely Nolan, honestly. But yeah, there's so many bad decisions that make up the majority of this story. Again, Johnny Depp's character is basically superfluous. He doesn't really have anything to do with the film. And it doesn't mean you could have done more or less the same story and made him more pivotal to the plot if you just added better reason. You could have even hinged your supernatural elements on maybe the woman wants him involved. Or something like that. Like, really and truly, like, even like the scene with the sex scene with him, there's really no reason in the movie given for why that even happens.
Right. I think it was, well, which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one, which granted, it's like the idea I think they're going for, it's ritualistic, but it's like,
right.
Don't really give a reason for it. So.
Yeah, he made the deal with the devil, I think, at that point. That's what it was.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like, but there's no, it's just kind of, based on what happens in the film and what's said in the film, it just seems like it's just kind of there to have some sex. Hey, let's have some gyrating, because what else did we hire this woman for? She was willing. But
right. Well, and
yeah,
it seems like she has a history of rather scandalous films, and she had done like 5 or 6 films with Polanski, or like 5, I think 5 films with him. So
I bet she's done a lot of things with Polanski.
looking at her catalog and stuff, I'm like, okay, but yeah.
Oh, Jason Sandberg. No, the first 2/3 of this movie aren't great. The whole movie's terrible. Okay, I'm sorry. This entire movie is really bad. It's just the last third is the most obvious part of it. That's really bad.
It shows it's,
But this is a really sloppy film. It's got really sloppy dialogue. Most of the performances are pretty rough. Like I said, really good ideas that are just stuck inside some odd, stuck inside an odd amount of incompetence from typically a good director. I mean, Polanski's done some pretty dang good movies. I mean, separating the art from the artist, he's done some really good movies, but this is one of his worst. It has to be. I haven't seen all of his movies, but this has to be one of his worst. This might be my least favorite Johnny Depp performance that I've watched. So yeah, I would give this a 3 out of 10. I think this movie's pretty awful, to be honest.
I'm with you there. And then White Bear, I know that you were waiting to tell us your thoughts on this movie.
I just love that Whitey's just in the background making a collection of memes from
this lady's face is gonna be everywhere, y'all.
If anything came out of us talking this movie, you could meme the crap out of that face for real, like on a widespread.
I wish
scale.
I had more time to edit this one in. The lady from Legion. Yeah. All right.
Amazing.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay. This wasn't really my thing. As far as I'm gonna give this a rating as far as Vex movies. So Vex was the one who put this movie forward, made us watch it, and then didn't come review it like a big old dick. So this is actually below Old Boy to me. So I'd say -2 Old Boys.
Dang.
Yeah,
wow.
I really disliked it. It didn't do anything for me that 1,000 other movies didn't do better in every way, as far as like anything having to do with theology, anything having the music, the score didn't hit at all. Right. In fact, it was really off. There were sound effects that I caught that were actually off in the movie. You'd think with that kind of budget for this movie that they would have done better. That's even after the Depp taking a pay cut. Just to be in the movie. It really didn't do any. It was like a bad. I've seen FMV video games that did better storytelling. So that's it. It's a -2 Old Boys.
I think I watched this last Thursday because I had stuff coming up over this past week and families were visiting. So I was like, let me get this out of the way. And I think I just kept texting like Gore King. You were the first one I was texting that night. Because I don't want to get into the chat and like tell Vex what I thought yet and save it for the show. And I'm just like, what am I watching? Like what? And then it was disappointing. Like even though the score was the critic score and the audience score wasn't super high, I was like maybe like from 2000 maybe, like at least maybe it was entertaining and fun in some. I'm just sitting here throughout the whole movie going, when does it get good? When does anything good happen? And oof. I'm on Gord's. I'm with Gord. I probably give it 3 green-eyed whores out of 10 because I don't get it. I get what Gord was saying. Like people like Vex, her example was good. Like her headcanon, what she could take out of it and make a better movie in her head out of the source material. I get that. We were even discussing like, would this even be a better mini series? Like if it was 4 or 5, 6 episodes spread out, taking the book, stretching it out, and doing it correctly.
I would be interested in reading the book. I'd be very curious, what the material in the book is like. Because like I said, there's interesting stuff here. There's really interesting stuff. It's just
there is. Yeah.
Bad execution.
It's just a shame. I probably will, if I see this movie anywhere now I can see why it's free on Vudu. Vudu's got some hits and misses, but I'm like, no. Yeah, so that's my score. It is what it is. Like, that's why we do have fun doing this stuff and watch movies we don't necessarily know about or whatever. I would discuss it. That's why MMM is fun sometimes. After coming off Twilight in February, Jesus. And last week we did Hunt for Red October, which is such a good movie, and then coming back to this, but it is.
I was positively hung for Red October.
Yes, sir.
I was full sub.
If you haven't watched, if anybody here hasn't watched or is going to rewatch this show, if you haven't watched the last 30 minutes of last week's Red October stream, please go do it. Like, it might be the best 30-minute.
It might save your life if
Dude,
you're depressed.
we did the casting trivia for Red October last week, and since we just took it and turned it into every 80s and 90s action star and put them in the roles, because a lot of them were supposed to be like in the movie, or at least were thought of being cast. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Christopher Walken imitate. Go watch it. You will piss yourself laughing. It's so good.
And literally that lasts like 35 minutes. It's basically that's how long it took to get through the trivia, because we were having so much fun.
It was so
messing around with it.
It was so good. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the ninth gate, and thank God that gate is shut, because I'm done with this movie.
The ninth gate was her vagina all along.
Yep.
Now let's go around and talk about where we're going to be. Blaine, you've been a busy boy, man. I know you're on Monday's show with Drunk 3PO. You got the website blowing up. You got your own show now. Tell us about what you got coming up, man.
Yeah. And wait, what day is it? Is it Monday, right?
Monday.
So yes. So Wednesday I'll be on. I'm regularly now on Beardo's channel for he's now started a segment called Manly as Fuck Movies, but it's part of the Bro Science show.
Nice.
So this Wednesday we're doing the Thomas Jane Punisher movie, which I freaking love. And it is.
I do think that's better than people say it is.
Yeah.
The movie could have been better, but I think Thomas Jane. I like Thomas Jane's Punisher better than John Berthel. I'll be honest.
I agree. I think he's a great Punisher. So we're reviewing that this Wednesday, and then I'll be doing on our channel on Critical's Cast. Make sure to sub to that. We're really trying to push our channel along, and it's been growing some more. And I'm doing like semi every couple days. I'll do like a news segment depending on if there's anything big going on, and then but on Wednesday or on Thursday nights we do like Three Dudes in a Room, old school podcast style, like nice. And we're doing The Electric State, the new Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown spectacle for Netflix. It's like the most expensive movie they've ever made or some crap. So
I saw the budget for that. That is insane.
It's huge.
Like over $300 million. Why?
Yeah, it's wild. So I'm really curious. I mean, I hope for their sake it's awesome, but it's like with them spending that much, I'm like, why did y'all not just go ahead and send this thing to the theater, like instead of home release for spending this kind of money on it? Like, I don't know.
That's why Netflix keep raising their rates.
Right. Seriously. Yeah. So yeah, we're reviewing that this Thursday though. So yeah. But other than that, I joked the other day, I'm like the herpes of the internet. I'm just spreading, and you'll encounter me somewhere somehow. So
that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time, dude. I know it's been a long day for you, man, but we always love having you on. So
it's great coming on. Thanks for having me. It was a good time, and I know y'all got Matt a few weeks ago, so y'all got to hang with him a little bit, and he's on Critical's Cast too. So
yep. Always a pleasure for him too. Oh, Gord King, you and your Hitman streams are quite entertaining, because I gotta tell you something, man. I actually never loved that franchise until I saw you replaying the games recently. And
I was never a huge Hitman fan either, but the World of Assassination trilogy is a whole different animal. If you've ever played it, anyone out there,
it's good.
It's a highly addictive, extremely deep. Put it this way, I started that series about 3 months before Elden Ring came out, and I finished it all together right like a couple of days before. I spent 3 months playing that game and had a blast the entire time.
What else you got coming up, sir?
Yeah. Well, Hitman's actually, I'm close to finishing that series, so I think I'll be starting Uncharted after that. But as far as what I've got on the docket, I know I'll be hanging with Pops talking. He's going to be watching Scott Pilgrim for the first time, so I'm curious what he'll say about that. 'Cause obviously, I'm a Scott Pilgrim versus the World stan. I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
It's one of my favorites. And that kind of is where the Michael Cera thing came from for when I first popped on here. But Shoot, I don't know if we're gonna do that live. We might pre-record that, but I've got that coming up. We got Nadia's stream coming up Saturday. We're gonna be talking about her favorite horror movies.
Yep.
Which this one, I'm a little surprised now that she didn't put this on here, which I'm kind of regretting it now because I'd love to crap on this favorite movie of hers. But I have a few others that she mentioned that I'll be crapping on for sure.
Nice.
But obviously, I've got my 2 most recent videos, the Captain America review, and which, for my money, has one of the greatest openings ever. It's worth watching just for the first minute and a half. It's one of my favorite jokes that I've ever had in a video. And then obviously I did the Poorly Explained for Aladdin, and I've got a couple of scripts in the works right now. I obviously have one where I go over an aspect of Antonio Salieri for Amadeus. Not sure when that'll be out. That's one that I'm going to take my time with because I want to make sure I get that one right. But I'm also starting a script for the Daisy Ridley / Ray Skyscraper movie, Cleaner, which might actually be the worst structured action movie I've ever seen. And it's
surprising.
It's like I don't know if it's actually the worst action movie, but I can't think of one that has a worse structure than that one because you put her outside of the action 12 minutes in, and you don't put her into the action until there's less than 20 minutes left in the movie. It's like, who thought that was a good idea? What the heck?
Oh god!
It is one of the most low effort films I've ever seen, and I already have a really hard time believing something's going to come along this year that's going to be worse.
Yeah. Maybe not. Well, the way movies are being made these days, who the hell knows?
Right. Yeah, last year almost exactly a year before it came out, is when Madam Web released. Which February just seems to now be the dumping point for the worst movies of the year, and yet oddly, Madam Web was maybe just like the 6th or 7th worst of last year.
It's been
that one was at least enjoyably bad. Cleaner's not enjoyable. I'm not positing that it's so bad it's good. Don't watch it; it's horrible.
I mean, I hated Mickey 17. That's another one that just came.
You know
out.
what? There's a lot of people who
I'm curious about a bad Boon
You're not the only one.
It sucks.
Drinker did a video today about it. He was he was very.
I'm imagining he
said it was bad.
Oh
no!
He didn't like. Yeah, it's evident in the title. He didn't like. I haven't seen anybody praise it at this point.
Yeah. And what's crazy, I did a post today where it's like our critical score, and then from like all the other sites, and everybody is like way higher than us. We're in like the 20 or 30%, and everybody else is substantially higher. It's wild. It feels odd because I haven't talked to anybody that actually thinks it's good.
Yeah, that me neither. I haven't from what I've followed, the people that I actually like to watch on or follow on social media. Everybody's like, no, this movie's bad. I'm like, oh wow.
It sucks.
It's pretty unanimous, yeah. IBS Hot Dog Wizard.
Name ever.
Hey, best channel name, dude. Your video, first of all, your shorts your shorts that you wear and the shorts on YouTube are extremely amazing.
That would you like some sausage song? I'm not even gonna lie, was stuck in my head for 4 days.
Oh my god.
The fact that I was able to make a full song out of it too.
Yeah, tell us about what you're working on there, White Bear.
Well, so I finally decided to, not spend all my time playing a game from 1997 and get off my ass about all that. And I was like, okay, finally had a good night's sleep. I think I'm going to make 8 fucking videos in a row, and I put them out. So I got them done and put out and scheduled out. So yeah, every day you should probably be seeing a new video for next few weeks. It's just, quick little memes. And, of course, with a channel name like IBS Hot Dog Wizard, it's kind of undeniable what kind of product you're going to get a hold of there. So, I like to stay, keep true to my audience.
bring your Imodium.
Yeah,
no, it's funny. Oh god, your videos are fucking hilarious.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah. Of course, all these guys' information, including Blade, his website and his YouTube channel, linked into the description. Please go check that out. Support Criticless. Not that it needs it. It's just absolutely blown up, and it's fantastic. But the more people on there, the better.
That's right. And the big thing too is it's like, hey, even when shit's slow, if you're watching stuff, just drop a quick little review. That's the thing. 100%. It keeps our machine chugging along, which is good. Keeps things active.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They're that, and then of course Gordon White Bear, support them too. They're fucking great. Thank you to the chat. You guys are always a blast and a beautiful people for supporting the channel. We'll be back next week. MMM Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing Boondock Saints because we didn't do it in. When were we
Y'all are doing it too. Cool. We're doing it on Monday
Nice.
for
St.
Hangover.
Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's
Nice.
So we were supposed to do it in January, and I got sick that day, and we like, let's push it back. So we're doing it next week, and Blue Collar Loser is going to be on there. The poor guy's been waiting to get on the channel, and I screwed him over 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's really weird that he hasn't been here.
Right. Well,
It's really weird that he hasn't been here.
He told me it's because of his work schedule. It's tough. But
Right.
He took time for the first one, poor guy, and now he's doing it again. So we'll be here. If I'm dying, I'll be on the show. Don't worry, Blue, for watching.
Yeah, none of this Canadian AIDS bull
No,
crap.
I'm sick of this shit. But yeah, thank you everybody again. We love you. Thanks to Blaine for coming on again. You're always welcome back.
Absolutely.
In the future, and that's it. We'll say goodnight now. Have a great night, and see you next week, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.